I'm M. Marinelli, and you're listening to the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast. I'm a psychotherapist, a professor of psychology, and an author of Comfort Sequels, the psychology of movie sequels from the 80s and 90s. I write for the Blue Rose magazine, and I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan. I'm not a tattoo artist or a tattoo expert by any means, but I'm a tattoo enthusiast and wanted to make a podcast combining two things I love the most. Each episode of the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast interviews someone about their Twin Peaks tattoo and explores what their ink means to them. You can find the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. Thanks for joining. The first note of Falling plays in the opening credits of Twin Peaks, spinning a spell right away. As the famous theme song begins to transport me into the world, a close-up of a majestic bird sitting on a branch comes into focus. Her feathery coat is golden rust, with dusty brown tracing her head and wings. She looks to the left, pointing her delicate beak to the sky. One beady black eye faces the camera, almost like she's looking directly at me, welcoming me in. Perhaps also giving a warning, like this will likely be a bumpy ride. The camera stays on her for a beat. Right away, she shows how the woods and its inhabitants are important characters. I'm taken into the geography, the flora, the fauna, and the animals. Birds are important in this place. As her picture dissolves, the Packard sawmill comes in, two tall stacks with smoke pouring out, polluting the sky where this gorgeous bird lives. The mill is mass production, industrialization, destruction. The mill's job is to literally demolish her home and the homes of many other magical creatures. In the face of this lumber industry town, all of what she represents matters greatly. She is a reminder to preserve the natural world, that animals live here first. She is the entryway into each episode. She summons me in. Yes, owls are not what they seem, and Waldo can say, "Leo, no." But as the first image I see, she is a portal that transitions me from everyday life to this not so sleepy town in the Pacific Northwest. She's just iconic. So I wanted to honor her with a tattoo, of course. I reached out to my friend, prop and TP expert Vinny Gadara, just to verify what exactly this variety of bird is. And Vinny told me that the limited edition TP Star Picks mistakenly call her a Bewick's wren, but she's actually a female varied thrush. I just love that he knows this. Stephen Miller's Twin Peaks blog confirms this and includes documentation of what exact branch was used for filming near the Kiana Lodge. He has pics of it from 2020 and 2023. That's just so damn cool. Sidebar, I just love how wonderfully nerdy and brilliant our community is. It's so cool. Anyway, I screenshot her on the branch in the opening sequence and Google some other images of female varied thrushes to send to Kim, my tattoo artist in the Bay Area. You might remember Kim from the amazing Waldo ink she did on my left shoulder. To hear all about that and her interview, check out the pod ep from earlier this month. Over the years, Kim has tattooed other Twin Peaks tats on me, like this picture would look nice on your wall, Glastonbury Grove, and just for fun, an owl sitting on a piece of cherry pie drinking a cup of coffee. In no time at all, Kim had created a bird likeness, but with her own illustrative twist. To mirror Waldo on the left, she placed the female varied thrush on my right shoulder, tucked perfectly in between pre-existing nettle leaves. She designed her little claws to wrap delicately around a small branch, just like in the opening shot, and also to match Waldo. She added a few red-orange berries and leaves on the side to frame her, and it's just too cute. I actually get compliments on it all the time. Now when I look in the mirror, I see these two birds almost in conversation with each other across the top of my body. One is a key that unlocks some of Laura's murder mystery, and the other lures me into the ethereal world that I love so much. And she gets recognized. It's my favorite thing when someone out in the wild says, "Hey, is that the bird from Twin Peaks?" And I know right then and there that they too have entered this place where there's always music in the air. Like my guest in this month's second episode of the Twin Peaks Tattoo podcast, I interview Chris Mathews, another huge fan of the opening credits infamous bird. I didn't know Chris before our talk. He reached out to me and shared his history with the show and with the fan community, and I was excited to meet him. We recorded our episode several years ago. So sorry it took so long to post, Chris. We discuss his love of the show, his various Twin Peaks tats, including one that I adore that I got to finally see in person at the real Twin Peaks Day event in 22. We talk about his love of the opening sequence bird that he lovingly refers to as Flappy and how Flappy has taken off in his life and his creative endeavors. From an early age, Chris has been driven by creativity and a bold extrovert, starting with his first onstage lead at age 6 to joining a professional boys choir at 11 to writing and directing his first play as a college senior. He has hungered to try new things. Now, after being robbed and nearly murdered while he was driving a cab, he left his home in Virginia for his current home in Seattle, Washington. Since 1981, he's dipped his toes into music, stand up comedy, television, and film, not to forget his lifelong love of theater. But it wasn't until his discovery of Twin Peaks that he decided to get a tattoo. And then this turned into more and more TP tats. I totally get it, Chris. I'm with you. He also has tat tributes to both of his children and a self-designed logo of "Damn!" exclamation point, dramatists and actors meeting now, a theater group he founded in 1996. Peaks fans may know him for his attendance at every TP Fest held in Washington, or his Twin Peaks live onstage trilogy, or his mockumentary, Flappy, Behind the Music in the Air. Here is the fabulous Chris. So tell us, Chris, how did Twin Peaks come into your life? How did you find it?
Well, I first heard about it when it was being filmed, and since it was filmed, the pilot was filmed in my backyard, kind of. I would already been a David Lynch fan since Eraserhead, and so I was hyped for it. Didn't realize at the time that a number of people I knew that were local actors were in it. I was like, I know her, I know him, I know that guy. Um, and I guess in November of 1989, before the show came out, for my birthday present, I bought Floating into the Night, the Julie Cruz, which I got on cassette at that time. So I had already known a lot of the Twin Peaks music from that. I didn't realize that was going to necessarily be part of the show. I was like, oh, yeah, I love that theme song. Yeah. And so even I was living in a small studio apartment at the time, but I don't remember who was there, but I know I had a viewing party for the pilot. There were maybe 5 or 6 people in my little apartment watching it. And I just said, "Oh, okay, that's a show for me. I'll be watching that for as long as it's on." And around that time, I realized I called it my drug night. Not that I was on drugs or anything, but um, I had a friend that I knew that I auditioned for one of my plays that was teaching a stand-up comedy class. And I said, "Oh, that's something I've always been interested in doing." So I would go on Thursday nights to his comedy class and laugh. Laughter is the best medicine, as they say. And then I go home to watch Twin Peaks, and I always felt like that was a trip. That was like an
Mm.
opiate or something. And I
Mm.
couldn't. I don't have people binge, watch shows over and over. I had to watch that show and go, okay, that's enough. My brain has to digest this right now. And I didn't have a whole lot of viewing parties after that, as I remember, but I do know that I watched a few of them, mainly the season 2 episodes at a friend's house. Because I remember one of my favorite episodes is the one, I guess it's the one where Bob is revealed.
Mhm.
Spoilers, folks. Bob is the guy that, and Maddie gets killed, and
Mhm.
watched that at a friend's place. And I was, whoa. But I do remember that one. I don't know why. For some reason, I just said, Mr. Tajimura, something about that guy. I think it's Catherine. Be like,
You
"You're
knew.
crazy, you're crazy." And then it was on the episode. I said, "See, I told you." So, um, so then after that, because I, lived here
Hmm.
when they started doing the Twin Peaks Festival in North Bend, I went to the first year, didn't really do any of the events or anything. With the year the 92 when the studio was just doing that as like a farewell party,
Mm,
debut a Firewalk with Me, which I didn't see until a few months later. Um, I did go, and there were thousands of people there
wow. It was big.
because
Uh-huh.
because they timed it during a weekend when they were doing a local festival called Alpine Blossom Days. So there was
Oh,
thousands of people there, just had nothing to do with Twin Peaks,
oh,
didn't
how
care
funny.
about it. But I took my son, who was 10 at the time, and I kind of got him into that because he was into mysteries. Didn't realize how dark it was going to
Yeah,
get.
I was gonna say that's really intense for a 10-year-old.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's a pretty hip guy. Um, but I do remember, and I do have it on tape somewhere. I got interviewed, but for the news. And I talked to this guy for 5 or 10 minutes, and he boiled it down to like a little sound bite. And
Yeah,
it was kind of
as
cool
they
because I
do.
I had something in my hand, and I was covering up my shirt. I had this "I Killed Laura Palmer" shirt, which they were selling at the time. They were bootleg shirts, so they quit doing it. So it's kind of a collector's item.
It's
So I
awesome.
said something about, yeah, it was a really involved show. You really had to pay attention to it or something. And then I pulled the thing away from my shirt so you could read it. And I didn't realize I was doing it. I just, all of a sudden did. The guy goes, "That's pretty cool." Yeah, that's the killer right there. Okay. Early prediction. It was some
That's awesome.
random fan. There was a woman named Pat Shook who, and she came to that year because she just thought Twin Peaks was great and said, "Well, so you're going to be back next year with this, right?" Like, no, no, we're done. It's it. We're doing this. This is goodbye. And she said, "Well, what if somebody else wanted to do it?" And I went, "Go ahead." So she just said, "Okay, we're going to do the festival next year, and it's going to be a lot like the one you just did. A lot of the same events that still went on for years and years." And so that first year, I didn't even like she had done it. Because back, this is before really the internet really was a big
Hmm.
thing, or
Yeah.
hardly at all. So I found out about it. I think I'm just trying to think. Wrapped in Plastic
Probably
was just
wrapped in
coming out at that,
plastic.
I think. So,
Yeah.
and so she put out a call to fans to write sequels to the show because they wanted the show to go on. And so a guy named John Pierce, who was a writer for Wrapped in Plastic at the time, submitted a script, which I read in, and it was an interesting script. It was more of a screenplay. So it's really hard to read screenplays because they jump around and you're doing a lot of description of camera angles and all that. And they cut a lot of it out. They only did like maybe 2/3 of it. And I just said, "Well, I've been writing plays for about 14 years. I think what you need is something dialogue based."
Mm.
So I hadn't thought about, picking up the mantle and doing Twin Peaks. This is like just a show I liked. So I said, let me see what I can do with this. And I knew a number of local actors who had been on the show. And I said, "All right, well, maybe I can get them to come out and reprise their characters." So I had Jan Darcy come and do Sylvia Horn because she had been a very big character on the show. And this guy, Ben Di Gregorio, who had been in one of my plays, played the football coach in the thing. So I expanded his character. He only has like 2 lines in the whole pilot. And so we did that as a stage reading the next year. And it was funny because the story goes, the play I did with Ben, it's a play called Happy Hour, and we did it exactly one time at a festival. And it was a little love story, romantic comedy that take place in a strip club. And the guy who played the lead was doing his very first play at that time. And I said, "Yeah, man, you're good. We'll make you the lead character." He ended up being in The Return. There's a scene where Sarah Palmer runs out of vodka and goes to this bar,
Hmm.
And he's the guy, I guess, affectionately known as Truck You, the guy who harasses her and she kills him.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
It's really
Yeah, I
cool.
ran into him, a friend of mine. My son and I went to see this play that was sort of inspired by The Simpsons, and I ran into John. His name's John Paulson. Ran into him at that thing, and he goes, because they had this non-disclosure agreement, they couldn't talk
Hmm.
about it. And he goes,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I got a part on this TV show, that one you like a lot, Nick. Like, oh, cool, man. Well, let me know about that."
Were you around during any of the filming since since you're there? Did you see any filming? Do you remember back?
Not the pilot or Firewalk with Me. I did go out one night when they were filming The Return, and I didn't get to any of the film sites or anything.
Hmm.
I just hang out with people at the Salish. There were a lot of people that had free time to do that. Like, yeah, go ahead.
Hmm.
Because yeah, my friend Bill Abelson, who was in a bunch of my because we did well, actually he was in the third. We did I ended up doing a trilogy of the sequels.
Mm.
And we did so yeah, I just went well. I said, all right, I'll continue doing this. I had a year to work on it, and subsequently we did do staged productions of all three of them.
Wow.
And then when they announced the show was coming back and it was 20 years or 25 years or what after, said, oh, well, this may be a good time to revive, my shows. And so we did the second and the third one.
So was it like a three-part sort of a continuing story
Yep.
that you did?
Yep.
Okay.
Because yeah, I just wanted to finish it. And it was weird because John Pierce, who did his own trilogy, was a year ahead of me. So I would read his scripts and go, okay, I'm trying not to, copy what you're
Do
doing.
the same thing. Uh-huh.
We did have one thing we did in common because David Duchovny was in that in the X Files. We had a crossover. We had to have a character come out as Fox Mulder, and of course Cooper thought it was Denise
Oh, that's
Rice.
funny. Oh, that's funny. Uh-huh. From when you first, wrote some of this years ago and then redoing it, doing it
Mm-hmm.
again, staging it again, to then like watching what actually happens in the return. Like, how does
Right.
your relationship to to the art
Um,
change or has it changed?
I
What was
didn't
it
really
like?
change. I do remember that since I was doing everything on paper, then I just started doing like scripts on the computer.
Mhm.
I'm back behind the times, so I have a lot of plays on paper. Like, I know where that is somewhere. I gotta get better organized.
Mhm.
So I think I did have to reconstruct parts of some of the scenes, and it's like, okay, that's close enough, or it may be even better.
Mhm.
But realized in third scene, third the third episode of mine,
Mhm.
there's a scene where the guy who plays, because it's interesting, my son started watching the show when I got him into acting.
Mm.
So I said, well, he would show up to the festivals and he looked a lot like Jonathan Lapel, the guy who played Pierre,
Mhm.
the and people would go, you're that guy, aren't you? He goes, no, I just kind of look like
Oh,
him,
they thought he was him. That's
trying to read here. He would get into his book and go, no, I'm not him. So I said, well, I'm going to write a part for you. I'm going to make it that character, but that he has sort of, he's out there trying to warn people about what's going on. So he's in junior high school and he does this really bizarre poem for a school assembly. That's not what he's supposed to be doing. It's this really, warning thing about, and then he collapses at the end. So I got my son to do that. And then in the third one, he's in the hospital after he collapses, and he does this really bizarre thing where he wakes up, he pulls the IV out of his arm, and goes over to the electrical outlet and puts it in there and kind of electrocutes himself back to life.
what?
Like, yeah, It was just like the Dougie
Oh my
scene where he
gosh,
puts the fork in the thing.
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like, okay, well, they wouldn't have known of mine, but that was kind of,
Wow.
coincidental.
That is very synchronistic.
And then the other thing, um, because I had some friends that I had have been involved in the show, and they said, "Is there any scenes or anything that I haven't done that you would like to see?" And this guy just goes, "Kill Nadine." And I said, "What? Oh no, Nadine is she's kind of annoying, but she's a sympathetic character." I said, "I'm not going to kill Nadine. Screw you. I'm going to do the logical thing and have Nadine wake up one
Mm-hmm.
morning,
Mm-hmm.
in 90 or whatever the show was set,
Yeah.
and realize that her marriage to Ed is a farce and that he's
Mm-hmm.
really in love with Norma, and leave and
Yes.
not take 25 years in a marriage that's obviously should. I mean, that
Terrible.
was, I mean, they had the big thing where she went with Dr. Jacoby and Ed was free. Why did it take 25
I
plus
know.
years for you to realize this marriage was a sham?
I agree. I think it would have happened a lot sooner. I really like your idea a lot. It's much
Yeah.
more. And I would never kill Nadine. I love Nadine.
No, no, I was like, kill somebody that deserves it, or somebody that you're really going to have a big reaction to, so. And then we did this thing where I had an actress that I wanted to use that she lived like 50 miles away and she wasn't going to come to do this show, but she's a really good voiceover actress, and I had her do, because what she does is she writes a letter to Ed. He comes home and reads it.
Mm.
So I had this thing where she was leaving and Ed came in, reading the letter while she's packing up to leave, and he doesn't
Mm.
see her. So it's this sort of cinematic
Mm.
thing.
That's
And
nice.
there's a voiceover. He reads part of the letter, and then there's a voiceover where this other actress, not the actress who was actually on stage, reads it. And she did, it was a spot on Nadine. She sounded
Mm.
just like Wendy Roby.
Mm.
It was spooky. But it was like, yeah, she
I
leaves and it's a
really
little
like
bit
that.
funny. And she just says, "Yeah, I've been looking into getting that glass eye that you promised me to buy.
That's great.
You shot it out, you bastard."
I really like that. That's really
Yeah.
nice. Let's talk about your tattoos, Chris. Tell me about your Twin
Tattoos.
Peaks tattoos. Yeah, what do
Okay.
you have and where are they? And
Well,
tell
the
me the
first one I
stories.
got, the very first tattoo I got, 91, I think. And it was the one because they talk about it a lot on the show. You never see it because the guy had his arm cut off. So I have a Firewalk with Me tattoo on my left arm. I
Nice.
don't know if you want to see it or not, but because you never see it, I said,
Mm-hmm.
all right, well, I have carte blanche to do my own design for it because you never see it. Then I realized a few years later when we saw they played the European ending for the pilot,
Yeah.
at one of the festivals. So in that scene where Bob is in the basement and they go down and find him and kill him, you can actually see a Firewalk with Me tattoo on Frank's arm.
Oh.
It just looks like somebody took a magic marker and wrote Firewalk, because that's probably what happened. "Oh, come here, Frank." David took a magic marker and right on his, like, oh, that was horrible. I would never put that on my arm. So mine is the Owl Cave symbol with Firewalk with Me written around it in different letters and colors. And I think it came out pretty. So I went in, and you've had tattoos before. Do you remember your first?
Mm.
Do you remember your body's
Yes.
reaction to it?
Yes, I freaked out.
You freaked out. Okay.
Yeah.
But did you get ill physically?
No, I don't think I got ill, but it was a very small one.
Okay. I got, because I guess it's typical. It's happened to me before, like doing really intense workouts.
Yeah.
Your body, the adrenaline or whatever, the enzymes go to your stomach,
Yeah.
and you can get nauseated,
Oh yeah.
which is what I had about halfway through the tattoo. I was like, yeah, I feel like I want to throw up. You want to hang out. And this tattoo artist had a bunch of people hanging out in the studio,
Mm.
just hangers on, just
Mm-hmm.
sycophants. I went, could you maybe ask your friends to leave? This is my first tattoo, and it's, not
Yeah.
very comfortable. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in somebody's basement having a party or something.
Mhm, mhm.
So he gave me like 15 minutes to recover myself, and then he finished. It's like, yeah, we can do this another time if you want to pick it up. Like, no, no, let's just finish it.
That is really common. It didn't happen to me the first time, but sometimes it happens to me
Yeah,
now. That's why I always have to like drink orange juice and like eat
right.
chocolate and things like that.
Hadn't happened since.
That's
Just
good.
that one first time. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like your body's used to it because I mean, it's like I don't know what your reaction is. To me, it was more uncomfortable
Hmm.
than painful.
Hmm.
Um, I guess it kind of depends on what part of the body you're doing it on as
Yeah,
well.
that's true.
The arm's not too bad.
Yeah.
I did have one, and luckily it was a small one, done on the inside of my knee,
Ooh,
which is kind of
that's a spicy
a
spot.
sensitive place.
Yeah.
But I had to do it because it's the log lady abduction
Yes.
tattoo. I was like,
Yes.
well, that's where hers is. I have to
Hmm.
put it there.
Yeah.
And there was one year, um, came into the closing party of the festival. Just happened to walk in while Catherine was telling the story about the tattoo. And of course, she doesn't have the tattoo.
Right. Yeah.
So she couldn't say, yeah, well, there's this scene where I have this tattoo on my, but you've probably seen it. It's like this. And I just said, they look like this. And I pulled my pants up and showed it. He goes, oh, thank you. So I just happened to walk into the point where I could be, an audio visual.
Oh, that's
I
so
knew my
that's
life I
cool.
had lived for 40 some years and I would finally be useful for something. So
It's cool
tattoo
that you
guy.
got to show it to Catherine. I like
Yeah.
that story.
Yeah. And so I'd known Catherine for a while. She'd come to a lot of the festivals. And
Hmm.
it was funny because, yeah, the first year, the year I met Jack, he comes in and I'm John Pierce is interviewing him for Wrapped in Plastic when I walked in, and he started asking Jack about Catherine because they were married for years,
Hmm. Yeah.
and so then Jack just goes, "Oh, Catherine." I went, "Oh, now I know why your wife on the show was named that. David knew that, and you did that so you could do that
Oh,
line."
that's so good.
I don't think I ever saw them together.
Hmm.
I'm sure they got along, but they just weren't meant to be together
Mm-mm.
forever. So yeah, my second wife lives in Ashland, Oregon, which is where Catherine was living for years doing theater.
Mm.
And they knew of each other but never worked together. She tried to
Mm.
get her in one of these shows. It was like, no, it didn't happen. So there's a little mockumentary I did, possibly one of the very first fan films, called Flappy. It's about the bird from the opening. You know of Flappy or never
Yes.
seen it?
Well, no, I've never seen it, but I've heard of
Okay,
it.
I'll try to send you one.
Love it.
We played it at the fest. It opened. I was like, oh, don't do it first. It's like, no, you work up to that. I was like, okay, fine. But it got a lot of people that had never seen it were just going
When did
crazy.
you do it? When did you film it?
I started that. I had a friend who was a filmmaker, who still is a filmmaker. Um, and I just said, yeah, I got this idea. I had just written up this sort of goofy article about, oh, this documentary they're gonna do. And I did it. I said the main guy behind it is a guy named Josh Eisenstadt.
Hmm.
You know Josh?
Yeah.
Because Josh knows all the
Hmm.
minutiae about every actor and this
He
that.
does.
Said Josh would know the story about the bird
Mm.
because he went out that at the Salish they go out there and not the Salish the Kiana Lodge where they
Hmm.
filmed the. He goes, this is the branch where you see the bird. Like, oh, okay, well, you know exactly what that was and this, that, and the other thing. So I said, I just wrote this goofy thing about the bird getting discovered by David Lynch and getting in there, but wanting to be an actor. So he flew down to Hollywood to try to ingratiate him. And so when we did it, my friend, I thought it would be something very simple because I'm not a filmmaker. I just said, we'll just have photos, and then you can have a voiceover. You don't have to do anything terribly involved. But yeah, he had grander plans in mind. So it did take about 5 years to eventually end
Wow.
up finishing it. So we would take
Cool.
it into the festival and show it in bits and pieces. Here's 2 more minutes of Flappy this year. Um, so his thing was like, well, who do you get to be the narrator? Because you got all these, actors that you know. You could get Kimmy Robertson or Catherine Coulson or somebody like. No, I can't ask professional actors to do this thing as a favor. Are you kidding me? Said I'm going to narrate it. It's my movie,
Mm.
And he goes, well, nobody knows who you are. What you? It's my movie. I'm going to do it anyway. So I came up with what I thought was a pretty brilliant idea. So I said I don't even have to be in the movie. I do make a couple of little cameos, but I said, well, the narrator has to be because she keeps talking about one day my log will have something to say about this. So I said, okay, well, let's make the log the narrator. So the log is actually a trained actor.
Mm.
His name is Thaddeus McGinnis, and so the log is the narrator for Flappy. So he shows up all through the movie with a little mic on him, and it is fun. So he goes, okay, yeah, we can work with that. That's great.
That's awesome.
So I was telling Catherine about it when I'd see her, and I finally, got her a copy of it. And I never heard back from her. She wasn't really good at communicating. So the very last year she came, she said she knew she was again. She looked fine, I guess,
Hmm.
but she knew she was not
Yeah.
long for this earth. And
Yeah.
they announced the show coming out, but she never told anybody that she was sick.
Hmm.
And so I went up to her and I went, do you know this? Do you know this? Because I gave her a copy of like people just go, yeah, throw in the back of the car, never watch it. And she looks and goes, oh yes, I watched that. That was very funny.
Aw.
So I was like, oh good. I
Aw.
got her seal of approval and I
Yeah.
got her to sign it. So
Oh, that's really good.
anyway,
That before she passed.
so
Yeah.
again, that I haven't done anything new with Flappy and
I love all the art and the generative ideas, that creative ideas that you've had that have come from the show. I mean, I think that's one of the things that make it so, you know, powerful
no,
is all the ideas. Even us talking now is part of that, right? Like
yeah. Well,
what
that's what I'm
comes from
saying.
it.
I never would have thought of doing it if Pat shook head and said, "Yeah, let's do episodes that I mean, I know there are fan fictions out there, and I've heard some of them,
Mhm.
and some of them not so good. One of them, I did read one of the scripts that were submitted, and all this woman did was rewrite the final scene from scene two, but put Audrey in place of Annie because she wanted Audrey to be with Cooper.
Mhm.
Like, okay, that wasn't a sequel. That was just you going,
A
I didn't like
reimagining.
her. I wanted her.
Yeah, a
Okay,
reimagining.
that's fine. That's what you want to do. Um, but yeah, I mean, because I live here, I didn't. I grew up in Virginia. I moved out here. There's a big story there, but I've lived here since 1981. So if I hadn't been living in Seattle, where they happened to pick, the place to film it,
Hmm.
then I probably wouldn't be doing it because I just can't really afford to go, festival every year.
Yeah.
But luckily, I was here. Yeah, and I did grow
Hmm.
up in Virginia, so I did go there for 1 year when they did the Great Southern.
Hmm.
Of course, there's no Twin Peaks connections there really, but
Yeah.
so I went that 1 year and they played fan films. They played Scott's documentary, first time I had seen that, and they played Flappy as the closing, which I thought was cool because it was called the Bird Theater with a Y. Thought, well, close it with a bird. Fine, put a bird on it, and it was interesting because you get, we've been showing it, but people hadn't been seeing it, and Charlotte Stewart was the only one who showed up that year, the actors. And she had never seen Flappy before, and she loved it. She's like, I never seen your movie before. That was really funny. Like, well, thank you. All these people that like it. And then uh I always thought, yeah, it would be a good thing because we can't afford, the copyright stuff to put it out commercially
Hmm.
because it has all the stuff in there from
Oh
Twin
yeah.
Peaks. Like, just you gotta have, endless box sets. Just put it on as an extra one of these days.
Well, did we cover all your
Tattoos,
tattoos?
more
Yeah, did we?
tattoos.
You have more.
Let's
Okay.
see. I have um on either of my ankles, just because I thought it'd be funny because I'd like to be able to see my tattoos. The log lady one's kind of hard to see, so I didn't want to get anything on my back. So I got on my ankles. I have a Let's Rock on one ankle, and the other one is a double R.
Nice. Are
So,
they
I mean, those are
red?
just kind of random, not a big thing.
Are they red?
They are red.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Let's Rock is just in that font.
Mm-hmm.
I have one that's an owl, just because I had a friend who sent me this really nice woodcut owl, I guess, on a
Mm-hmm.
card. And went, that would make a great tattoo. So I got that on there. I have a flaming blue rose on no here.
Mm. Nice.
I have my daughter on my over my heart. My son is on my arm.
Aw.
So we had a couple of years where we had tattoo parties at the festival. So we went down to Seattle, and one year we had maybe 6 of us did it. It's right here on the inside of my arm. And it's, standard people just go, "Oh, you get a lip print tattoo on your arm." Because, you go into any tattoo parlor and it's going to have that probably as part of the book. And I'm like, no, this is a particular person's mouth. It's not, from catalog. So in one of the early festivals I went, and I tried to make it not sound creepy or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went up to Kimmy and I'd become friends with her. And I said, I I didn't ask for an autograph, but I think you have a really lovely mouth. And I was wondering if you would just kiss a napkin for me so I can have lip prints to remember you by. I didn't ask for a kiss or anything,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah.
She goes, "Oh, that's very sweet. Yes, I'll do that." So she gave me that. And at the time, I kind of went, maybe. And later I said, yeah, fine. I'm going to make a tattoo of it. And never said anything. Well, she showed up. I guess somebody had talked to her about it. They heard about the fact that I got her lip prints on my arm. So she comes up to me and I'm like, oh, God, she's going to get mad for me to do this without permission. She goes, "Oh, I got to see it." I'm like, okay. "Oh, that's really nice. Do we have to get married now?" I said, "Well, I don't think your husband would be really thrilled with that." And she goes, "Well, we're not married anymore." And oh, okay. We're
That's
friends. It would never have happened. But anyway,
that's
it's
a
kind of
great
weird.
response that she
Yeah.
had. That's so sweet that she was all about it. Has anyone ever asked you annoying questions about your tattoos, your Twin Peaks
Um,
tattoos?
it wasn't annoying so much as I did remember that when I saw that question is I was on the bus and it was probably not too long after I got the firewalk with me. And I guess I was wearing a tattoo or a tank top or something because it was exposed.
Yeah.
So this guy in the bus with me sees that and reads it. He goes, "What is it? Firewalk with me?" Oh, yeah, I do that. I do firewalking.
Wait, what?
You know what firewalking is?
I
You
don't
know what
guess
firewalking?
I do. No.
It's a thing. I guess it's maybe derived
Is it
from Native
walking on
Americans.
coals
Yeah,
or
walking on hot coals,
oh, okay, okay.
which I
I didn't
guess
know it
is
was
not
called that.
that big a deal. Your body goes into adrenaline shock, and it's
Right.
not like you're horrible pain. You just do it fast and you're done. But it's I don't know if they do it anymore, but this guy did it. So he gives me a card about it. It's like, yeah, you want a firewalk, blah blah blah. And I looked at it, and the contact number on them was the she was a midwife who taught childbirth classes, had been good friends with my first wife and I when my son. So it was
What?
kind of weird. Oh, Kathy File. Okay, yeah, I knew her. She was midwife at my son's birth. Like, okay.
What a trip.
But I did never go firewalking, but I did make a reference to it in one of the Twin Peaks live shows. Hawk talks about it.
Wow.
But they never go into detail
No.
about what firewalk with me means. It's just, I guess, the idea of burning and not a
Walking into
positive.
danger. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. What questions would you like to be asked about your Twin Peaks tattoo?
Just, people that see them and they're fans, they maybe just say, I don't know if I want questions about them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the great detail about it. It's just, a tribute to, my favorite show. But you did say that one of the questions I think you had on there was uh, a tattoo on one of the characters on the show.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think that Cooper
Uh-huh.
should have, like when you're in prison and you do hash marks for how long you've been there,
Uh-huh.
1, 4, 5.
Yeah.
He should have hash marks for every month he's been in the Black Lodge. So
Ooh.
like 25 years. That
That's a lot of
kind of like
marks.
rings on a tree, Oh, you're getting out. We ran out of room on your body for the hash marks.
Do you
So,
have any more Twin Peaks tattoos in your future?
um, I don't have any plans for it.
Hmm.
I actually had a plan and still might happen. Um, Wanted to get my band, and I do have one tattoo on my arm. It's the playwrights group that I run. That's one of the tattoos I have. It's a logo. Um, because I was gonna make it. I was gonna wait to do it. My friend who was the director for Flappy asked him to do a music video for my band, which is kind of in limbo right now.
Hmm.
The band's called Shipyard Rose. If you want, we do have a one video on YouTube called Lost in Lust. We played that for the fan festival. And because one of the things I wanted to do, and the guy wouldn't let us use it, who who did the music video for that one, because he didn't direct it. I got in touch with J.R. Starr, the guy who was the MC at the Roadhouse for all the to introduce the bands.
That's
And I
awesome.
said, "Well, would you just do like film a little short intro for our band?" You're like, "Yeah, sure." So I got J.R. Starr, introducing Shipyard Rose, which we wanted to use for the next video. But part of it I wanted to do is that I was going to go to the tattoo parlor and get a logo on my chest. So that's what I sort of have in mind for my next tattoo. Whether that
Mm.
happens or not, we're kind of talking about it for a while. But God, Twin Peaks tattoos. I just don't know if I need any more. I mean, it would be one of those things where somewhere down the line, I thought that would be a cool thing. I
Hmm.
would do it, but you got one in mind for yourself?
Yeah,
In the
well,
process?
yeah, the next one I'm thinking, well, I'm hoping to get the frog moth from Lane Freefall soon, and then also I want to get a box of chocolate bunnies with one
Okay.
missing.
Um, 2019, another one of the last festival we had.
Hmm.
Another losing contest costume. I was the frog moth that
Oh
year.
my gosh, wait, I need to have to see a picture of that.
Yeah, I
Sweet,
trying to
please send
find
me
it. I
pics.
probably get you one, but it was like a big frog costume that I ordered, and then like a praying mantis head and wings. So he looks like he's
Oh my
it's
gosh.
it was fun, but it's very hard costume to do anything in because you're completely covered. You can't
Yeah.
walk very well because the feet are just these ridiculous flippers. But everybody loved it.
If there's a season 4, what character, either existing or new, would you like to play?
I would play more or less probably a version of myself. I would be the quirky guy, the artsy guy who everybody says, "Well, you should get out and be a big star. Go to Hollywood or something." Like, no, I like being here where everybody thinks I'm a big shot, and kind of like the whole idea that Audrey was the character from Mulholland Drive that went in. That was sort of the story is that was supposed to be a spinoff for her.
Oh, right.
There's even references to Flappy in that they wrote um, dialogue for Flappy. He was supposed to be Audrey's rebound love interest after Cooper rejected her. So she was going to be with the bird, and so there's
That's
all
awesome.
this things like there was this dialogue that they wrote for them to do that ended up being the audition scene that Naomi Watts' character does with the older guy in
Oh yeah.
Mulholland Drive.
Hmm.
But no, of course, nobody gives him credit for being the inspiration for that. So yeah, I guess because there's really, I mean, I guess James writes the occasional song. He writes one song every 25 years. Um,
It does.
and Julie Cruz, but she's not really a character. She was a character
Hmm.
in my shows. I actually had her talking, but she's more or less sort of the Greek chorus, I guess. That her songs kind of
Hmm.
comment on what's going on in the show.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I guess I'd be kind of like. Did you ever see a show called Waiting for Guffman?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just quoted it
I'd
this
be
morning, actually.
I would be kind of like Corky, but not as gay. Like the guys. everybody dance.
A less gay quirk. I love that. Oh, what was I saying
But
this
yeah, he
morning?
wanted to get out. He actually did spend some time, I guess, in New York or some of his ideas. He wanted to go and be a big, huge success and go to New York because Guffman was going to take
That's
the
right.
show.
I know this morning I was walking and I said, "How high a hill I could not climb," or something like that. I think that they say when they're doing the production in Waiting
Mm-hmm.
for Guffman.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, it's such a good movie. Okay, well, Chris, how can people find you? Say again how websites, blip, how they can
Website you
reach
can
you.
look up Midnight Mystery Theater. Just follow the yellow brick links and you can find some of our archive shows. And you can go on YouTube and look up Shipyard Rose, Lost in Lust. There are about 5 or 6 songs called that, so don't just watch every one of them. Just watch ours.
Well, Chris, this is so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of your stories from over the
Hmm?
years and also about all of your tattoos. I love that you have just these little ones, including Kimmy's lips. I'll never forget that. Well, I just, I really appreciate all of what you shared. It's so interesting to learn about the past festivals and for all your wisdom from the beginning. I mean, you've been a part of the community
Yeah.
from its start and you've seen the, transformation over the years and have been a part of that transformation and created and generated so much of your own art based on it
Mhm.
too, which was just, it's so awesome. Thank you so much for
Yep.
talking to me about that. Thanks for listening to the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast. Rate and review us on iTunes and follow me on Instagram at Marinelli.